Hello. Hello.
Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to Atp Live. Let me know whether you can see me and you can hear me. Let me make sure. All right, okay, I think it's better now. All right, welcome. You can see those of you on Instagram, those of you on Facebook. Kindly share the video and invite your friends to join us, and you can start dropping your questions. We are grateful that today we're able to go live. Last week we couldn't go live because of Facebook shut down. And that tells you how Facebook is so important. I tried to go live on the YouTube, but many people were not able to join on YouTube, so I just have to stop it. But just to remind you that in case this happens next time, just try and check whether I was live on Facebook, because I will try and do that. I mean on YouTube, because YouTube, if Facebook is down, it's very unlikely YouTube will be down. So um, try and always check us up on our Facebook and our YouTube channel instead, if you cannot connect on Facebook for any reason. And we also now have a Telegram channel. Try and also find our Telegram channel. It's a backup channel in case, again, we struggle with YouTube. With Facebook, sorry, why do I keep saying YouTube? So you can join us on those channels as places where you can still watch our programs, even though Facebook is down. But let's hope that Facebook will be okay, because it's our biggest platform. And so we like Facebook. We like to make sure Facebook is always live. All right. So welcome everyone. If you're watching on the Ask the Paediatricians Facebook group, you can just put your questions directly on the group and I will say it. I'm seeing your comments already. If you're watching on Instagram, you can also put your question directly. I'll see you as well. But if you're watching from ATP Family Facebook group, or you're watching from ATP Still a Mom, you will have to click on the video to drop your questions, because I won't be able to see your questions directly. And if you're watching on the YouTube, you can drop your questions under the video. I'll be able to say it directly. So please, when you're asking questions about children, kindly include the age of the child. If you are worried about the weight of the child, please include the weight of the child as well, so we don't have to do a lot of going back and forth on the questions before we answer them. All right, so thank you everybody. Welcome, and try and drop your question as soon as possible, because we just have 1 hour to do this. And if you are late, I will encourage you to just watch the video again, and then you can now post your questions directly on our Facebook group, because we cannot answer them. But for live, you have to drop your questions between 6 and 7. Once it is 7 p.m., we won't be able to take your questions. Okay, thank you, Favor. You can hear me, you can see me. Thank you. Yeah, Facebook user. If you're watching on the group, Ask the Paediatricians, you really need to give StreamYard the permission for me to see your name. If you don't do that, then I won't be able to see your name. You only come up as a Facebook user. So thank you so much, Adeline, for joining. Olanike, okay, Olanike is my first question. What age can immunization be stopped? Now, that's a very Important question. Thank you. Now, actually, immunization, there are immunizations that you can take even as adults. So we don't really say immunization can be stopped. But in Nigeria, the immunization that is available for children, usually we stop for now at age of 15 months. You need to understand that these are dynamic things. In other words, the government can decide to add more vaccines at any point. There is a time that we're stopping the immunization at 9 months, but now we're stopping it at 15 months. So just make sure you have your immunization card and follow the schedule on your immunization card. However, there are also immunizations that your child can take that the government does not pay for. So you can pay for it if you have the money. For example, there's chickenpox vaccine, which is not on the Nigerian program of immunization, and it's given usually around the age of 1 or 2, depending on which schedule your hospital is using. We also have things like we now have the meningitis vaccine on the Nigerian program of immunization, and we give it at 9 months. There is also MMR, that is measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, which the government gives you only the measles. But if you're interested in the mumps and the rubella, you can also take that as well. Then for the usually from around the age of 7, between 7-10 years for teenagers, there's what we call the HPV vaccine. That's the human papilloma virus vaccine. This is a vaccine that protects against HPV infection. HPV infection has been associated with things like warts and cervical cancer. So if you want to avoid that, then you want to give your children those vaccines. So these are vaccines that children can take as high as age 7 to 13 years thereabouts. So really there's no time the vaccine stops. So it depends on what country you have, what conditions we are thinking about and all that. But just be alert and just know there are vaccines that children can be taken even into adulthood as well. Okay, but currently, based on the way you ask your question, if you're in Nigeria, most childhood immunization stops at 15 months. There are also booster vaccines that we should be given, but not yet part of the schedule yet, but maybe very soon it will be. All right. Favor says, how do I subscribe to ATP Premium? So if you want to have any of our premium services, please send us a WhatsApp message. I'll put a comment on. Okay, I'll put this in the banner now. You can send us a WhatsApp on 9056916818. All right. Okay. So this is ATP WhatsApp number. Now, many of you know that this ATP WhatsApp number is for if you want to book consultation. It's a premium service. Unfortunately, a lot of people will come and ask a lot of questions thinking that we're going to be first. It's a line held by the receptionist. So it is not, when you come to that line, you're not talking to the doctor, you're talking to our receptionist who can arrange for you to see our doctor. So don't always think it's Dr. Bemi that is holding the line. So please, if you only want to book a chat, a consultation, video consultation, face-to-face consultation, usually which is available mostly in Lagos for now, you can send us a WhatsApp message. Please don't drop questions on that line. We are not going to answer them. Please don't negotiate our services. We'll tell you the cost, which is very, very well subsidized. And if you don't think you have the money for it, it is fine. Please go to the government hospitals or hospital you can afford. But you need to understand that our professionals are entitled to the consultation fees. So if you come in and we have no obligation to give you a consultation for free. The only free thing we do is on our Facebook group, and now, like now what I'm doing now. So you can post any question you have on our Facebook group and we will answer you. But if you want a consultation, these are professionals that work. So that is their job. That's their means of livelihood. Please do not come asking for free service. We don't do that. So because we're going to link you to a pediatrician or one of our professionals and they're going to charge you for that service. So I hope that helps. All right. Thank you. Um, okay, thank you, Facebook sister. You're with me. Okay, Joanne is saying good evening. Thank you, doctor, for all you do. Thank you too for joining me. Please, what's the best toothpaste for a toddler? Wow, Joanne, you want me to advertise? No company has paid for advertisement, so I'm not going to give you any brand name. But for a toddler, there are toothpaste that are specifically meant for children based on the amount of fluoride. So we recommend that use fluoride containing toothpaste and that they have the right amount of fluoride. I can't remember the percentage per whatever thousand that it should be because I'm not a dentist, it's not in my brain. But I know we have it on our Facebook group or on our website. If you read the article by the dentist, so they've written exact amount of fluoride you should be checking for in that toothpaste for children. So that's what you should use. But more importantly, it should be fluoride toothpaste. Thank you. Not fruits. It should be fluoride. And when you're using the fluoride toothpaste, it should be for children. And more importantly, the quantity you need to put for a toddler, for children below 3 years old, it should be a grain of rice, like very tiny, the grain of rice. You know what I mean? So that's a quantity, it's a tiny piece because children most time will swallow their toothpaste. We don't expect them to spit it out. So we really want to make sure you're not putting too much of fluoride in them because they can have a condition called fluorosis, which is too much fluoride and it's not good. So that's number one. And number two, when they're above 3 years, it should be like a pea size, like granite size, one granite size. That's the quantity of toothpaste you should use. So these videos that we watch advertising toothpaste where they will put a huge amount of toothpaste on the brush and even cover it up. It is actually wrong. That's advertisers misinforming us. Actually, the quantity of toothpaste you need is actually pretty small, and especially for children because they also tend to swallow it. They lick it because it's sweet. They love it. So we don't want them to be taking too much fluoride. So it should be fluoride containing toothpaste, and it should be small quantity. If you use the right quantity, you are very unlikely to give the child too much fluoride. And of course, you should brush their teeth twice a day, AM and PM, after the breakfast and last thing before they go to bed at night. So I hope that helps. All right. That's good evening, Olubumi Ajayi. Good evening, Faith. Good evening, Facebook user. Good evening, Onokoya. Okay, I think I'm going to join Instagram people now. All right, so another Facebook user is asking me, I bought citromaz suspension for my daughter who is 2 years old. I want to know if the drug's for 3 days or 1 week. Number one, don't buy antibiotics if it has not been prescribed. The fact that you are asking me that question shows that no doctor prescribed that medication for you. You just bought it. Antibiotics is not something you just go to the market and buy and use. No matter what you think, you are not a doctor. You should never use antibiotics that has not been prescribed by a doctor because it's what we call antibiotic abuse. And antibiotic abuse is a very dangerous thing because your child is going to develop antibiotic resistance, which means when your child actually down needs that particular antibiotics, it's not going to work. If a doctor has prescribed an antibiotic for you, it is the responsibility of that doctor to tell you the duration of the antibiotics, the side effects of the antibiotics, and what to watch out for. So if the doctor didn't prescribe it for you, then please don't use it. Sometimes the doctor prescribed and they didn't have enough time. The pharmacist dispensing may explain further to you, this is the time to give it, this is how many the dose to give, and this is for how long you should give it. This is one of the reasons most of us say our children are not getting better. Number one, we use antibiotics indiscriminately. You don't even know how much of antibiotics this child needs because it's based on the weight of the child. You don't know how long you should use it for. If you just give it anyhow, it's not going to work. But more importantly, the next time we're going to use antibiotics, it may not work because the child develop the germ that causes the infection, develop resistance to the antibiotics, and it may not work for that child anymore. So we strongly discourage antibiotics misuse. It's a very major problem in Nigeria, and I'm calling on the pharmacist colleagues that we need to do something about it. In same countries, Nobody just walk into a pharmacy and buy antibiotics. Nobody, never. No, even you as a doctor, unless you are written it and prescribe it for yourself or for your child. So, and most people you will not prescribe for yourself. If my child needs antibiotics, I'm going to take care to see another doctor to prescribe the antibiotics. They are that strict, and that way they will not have a lot of antibiotic resistance issue, and they can say so they can use things that we've been using forever. It worries me when I see mother using powerful antibiotics. I see mother using Citroman, using Zenat. These are not even the common antibiotics we use for the first level. These are antibiotics we reserve, so please don't do that. So please don't give these antibiotics if it's not a doctor that prescribe. If it's a doctor that prescribe, the doctor will tell you how long you should use it for, because the antibiotic is not even for 3 days, it's not for 1 week, and I'm not going to tell you how long you're going to use it for, because I actually want to discourage what you're doing. That is why. So I've answered your question. My answer to you is that don't use the antibiotics if it has not been prescribed. If it is prescribed, then you should direct this question to the doctor who is treating your child. Okay, H&M is asking, at what time can a 6-week immunization be given to a newborn 29 days old? Is this counted from birth date or after the first immunization? Okay, thank you, Precious, for asking this question. This is a very popular question. People ask me all the time. And the answer is very simple. Antibiotics is given based on the date that is written on your card, not on when you took the last one or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Antibiotics should be given on the date written on the card. That's all. So if your child wants to take 6 weeks immunization, it should be given at 6 weeks. If your child needs to take 10 weeks immunization, it should be given at 10 weeks. 14 weeks, that is the way it should be. I know where this confusion is arising from, is because the first antibiotics we usually give, which is the BCG, should be given at birth, should be given on day 0. However, BCG is what we call a multi-dose vaccine. Multi-dose vaccines are vaccines that you have multiple doses in one bottle, which means that once you open that bottle, you gotta finish it or you have to throw it away. We don't keep the leftover. Whereas there are vaccines that they already come pre-packed as individual packs. So you pick a pack, it is for one child. BCG, you pick a pack, it may be for maybe 10 children or 100 children. I can't remember now. It's a multi-dose. So what people normally do is that instead of when you have a child born today, you open a BCG vaccine and throw away the rest. The next day another child is born, you open the BCG vaccine and throw away the rest. Most hospitals tend to group the children for the BCG. So instead of giving it every day, they give it once a month. So all the babies have been born, let's say in October, they may give it on the last day of October or the last Thursday or the last Tuesday, wherever works for them. So that is what happened to BCG. So which means BCG tends to be given not on the day you have your baby, unless you are so lucky you have your baby close or maybe a day or two before the day that the BCG is given to everybody anyway. Irrespective of when your baby gets the BCG, your baby should still take the 6 weeks immunization at 6 weeks, because it is not BCG that is given at 6 weeks. So BCG is different from the Penta and the pneumococcal vaccine and the OPV or high PV, depending on what you're given now, that will be given on the rota, that will be given at 6 weeks. So it's a different vaccine. It should be given at 6 weeks. That should settle that. I hope that is clear. So now there's another caveat to that thing. Now there are also vaccines that have the same vaccines but have multiple doses. So for example, Penta, so you have Penta 1, Penta 2, Penta 3, and those kind of vaccines. So for vaccines that are multiple doses, we usually give them 1 month apart. So they are the same vaccine, but you have to take 3 of them. And that's another thing. People tend to ask me, oh, my baby was given the 14 weeks instead of the 10 weeks. Am I worried? And I'm like, there's no special vaccine. There's no special Penta for 10 weeks. There's no special Penta for 14 weeks. It is the same Penta. It's just that when you take it at 6 weeks, that is counted as dose 1. When you take it at 10 weeks, it's counted as dose 2. When you take it at 14 weeks, it's counted as dose 3. It's still the same Penta. It's not a different brand or different content or anything. It's the same thing. It's just that we're giving it 3 times. Now, for those vaccines that we have to give 3 times or 2 times, the minimum, not maximum, the minimum gap between the doses should be 28 days, 1 month. So if you take a 6-week vaccine, let's, for example, because of this confusion, you didn't take your 6-week vaccine until 8 weeks. You cannot take another penta at 10 weeks. So between 8 weeks and 10 weeks will now be 2 weeks. No, you can't take another penta. You have to wait at least 1 month for you to take the next penta. So for multi-dose vaccines or multiple, what do I forgotten the name now? For vaccines that you have to take multiple doses of, in other words, you have to take them 1, 2, 3 times. Those kind of vaccines with minimum should be 1 month after each other. But for vaccines that are not the same kind of vaccines, it doesn't matter when you take the last one, you can always take them at any time. So if you're, in other words, you can take your BCG with your 6 weeks vaccine. If you couldn't get BCG at birth, they can give it to you as when you come for your 6-week vaccine. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't mean you have to separate BCG and wait another 1 month before you take your 6 weeks, or wait another 6 weeks. No, you can even take the BCG and the penta. You can take them all together. But you cannot take one penta today and take another penta tomorrow. It's a waste of vaccine. It's not going to work. You need to give that 4 weeks in between. Then final part about the vaccine is the fact that if your baby makes any vaccine for any reasons, maybe you forgot, you travel, really children should not be mixing vaccines because you travel or you are out of town and all that. Just go with your immunization card. Even if you go to your remotest village in Nigeria, if you go with your immunization card, they will give the next vaccine. So mothers always tell me, oh, we went to the village before, we can't take vaccine. No, that should not happen. That is why that green card, for those of you who take with the government, it's the same. And that's why we have immunization card where it is documented. So anywhere you go, show them the card, they will give you the next vaccine. So no excuse for not taking vaccine. But for whatever reason you mix your vaccine, just go the next day or whenever day you can remember, they will still give the vaccine. We call it catch up vaccine. So most vaccines you can actually take them if you've mixed them. So don't say, oh, my baby mixed the second dose and then because it was already past date, I won't take it again. Just go, they will give you, and then they will catch you up on the vaccines. However, there is rota vaccine, usually effective for between the age of 6 to 11 months. But that is when children tend to have rota infection, rota virus infection. So because of that, we need to give rota vaccine be 6 weeks and at 10 weeks, or 6, 10, 14, depending on the brand you are using. So therefore, there's a limit to when you can take rota, because after a while it's become irrelevant. So we said the maximum you can take the first dose of rota is 15 weeks. So 15 weeks, that's almost 4 months. So also maybe it's already past 4 months, because rota is supposed to work from 6 months. So if you are taking it too late, it's almost too late anyway. So your baby is going to likely have rota virus infection. So the earliest you can take your the latest rather, you can take your first dose of rota is 15 weeks. The latest you can take your second dose of rota is 8 months. Those are the two vaccines that they are time limited, because there's really no point giving you after 8 months, because your baby is already exposed to rota from 6 to 11 months. That is the peak period of rotavirus infection. But for all the other vaccine, which babies are exposed to for life, like your tuberculosis, which BCG protects against, even if you forgot and it is at age 9 years to remember, we can still give it. So you should always go for what we call catch-up immunization. I hope I decided to answer all the questions on immunization as together, because I know it's something that people tend to mix up. Okay, so let me quickly go to Instagram people so that they won't think I've forgotten them. Instagram. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so I think there's some question in the box. So Fred Alvin is saying, good evening, ma. Please, how do I place my baby to sleep? Place, okay, positioning. At the hospital, I was told to not to place the baby I was told not to place it on her back, but aside. But I read online, that hospital is telling you lies. Maybe you should stop using that kind of a hospital because this is so basic. And I'm so happy you read online, and I'm so happy you got the information. Actually, there's no reason to be ignorant in its 21st century. I mean, like, information is right there at your doorstep. If you have a smartphone, you have no excuse to be ignorant because you can always get those kind of information, and you can get it from verified sources, UNICEF, WHO, big hospitals, government sites, and those kind of places. Those are the places to get information, not from bloggers, not from people who are not health professionals, because some of them write nonsense as well. Actually, all babies should sleep on their back to sleep. Very simple to remember, back to sleep, because this protects babies against sudden infant death syndrome. We call it SIDS. SIDS is a situation where babies just die for no reason. They just die. We just wake up and you find the baby's dead. And with research over the years have shown one of the risk factors for baby dying suddenly like that, what we call sudden infant death syndrome, is baby sleeping face down on, that kind of a thing. So we want baby to sleep on their back, at least for the first 1 year of their life. On their back is what is recommended. So I'm shocked an hospital is telling you should put your baby to sleep on the side. No, it should be on the back. So please just do that. You can cross-check this information. Just Google sudden infant death syndrome as baby sleeping position. Check any WHO, UNICEF, any of NHS. Those are very verifiable and reliable sites to get those kind of information. So you can let your doctors know that your pediatricians say baby should sleep on their back and not on the side, and not on the front, and not on their tummy. It should be on their back. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, but my baby likes to sleep on the front. And I always tell you, no baby is born knowing what to do. You have the parents, you're in charge. So you show the baby this is the right thing to do. So you put the baby back on the back. You keep doing that consistently. After a while, the baby gets into the habit knowing that, yes, I'm supposed to sleep on my back. That is the right thing to do, because losing a baby is not what, I mean, I don't know what else we can compare it to. So we don't want to put your baby at risk of death. We're talking about death here. So it's not about your own convenience. It's not about it's about the baby's being alive. And then with baby don't need pillows, no pillows. So all those fancy baby pillow, just throw them away. Babies don't need pillow. Then when you put the bed sheet, let it be those bed sheet that is fitted to the bed, not the one that there'll be too many clothes all over the place. No, it should be fitted to the bed so that the chances of baby getting clothes caught on their neck, strangulating them, is very limited. These are very important information, and I'm saying this with all seriousness. Then when you want to use bed cover, babies don't really need to be covered, to be honest. Just wear their onesies for them, dress them according to the weather. If it is hot, light cotton wear is fine. If it is cold, thicker or multiple layers will be fine. So they don't need all this covering and all that. But if some of you, you like to swaddle cover, make sure you use all these knitted products, knitted what do you call them, knitted blankets or cover for the baby, because knitted blankets have holes in them. So if for any reason the blanket gets in the nose of the baby can still breathe through them. These are the things that kill babies. Baby can, move around, and the clothes can block their nose. And babies are what we call obligate nose breather. They can only breathe through their nose. They don't breathe through their mouth. So if you block their nose, that is it. Oxygen is cut off. 5 minutes, baby's gone. So please, but if you are covering them, we said no covering preferably, but if you cover them, use knitted blankets, so that even with those big holes, so that even by the time the baby gets the clothes in the nose for any reason, the holes will allow the baby to breathe. So these are very, very vital and very, very important information that I've shared. I hope that is helpful. Also on Instagram, Lope, I think so. Akonde saying, what about Hep B? Okay, the first dose and OPP first dose, I was so that at the center my baby cannot have it again? Yes, okay, that's thank you so much. That's a very important question. Now, hepatitis B and oral polio is also supposed to be given at birth, but they are also limited. But I don't want you guys to be panicking about those ones. So if you don't take hepatitis B first dose within the first 2 weeks, it's too late. If you don't take oral polio also within, I think the first 3 days for oral polio, if you don't take it, it's too late. Now, but don't worry and don't panic about hepatitis B or oral polio, because your baby is still going to get those vaccines, because hepatitis B is part of Penta and oral polio is also given. So your baby is still going to get at 6 weeks, is going to get at 10 weeks, is going to get at 14 weeks. So your baby is still going to get 3 other doses of those vaccines. So there's no reason for you to panic. So those vaccines should be given at birth. There's no excuse for not giving oral polio or hepatitis B at birth because it's available. Hepatitis B as single dose vaccine is available. So I don't know why you are not getting it, but don't panic about it, because we're still going to give your baby at 6 weeks. We're still going to give them at 10 weeks. We're still going to give them at 14 weeks. But if you have hepatitis B yourself, your baby must get hepatitis B vaccine at birth. If you have hepatitis B as a mom or you're hepatitis B positive, your baby must get the vaccine at birth. And your baby must also get what we call hepatitis B immunoglobulins, because that's the only way your baby will be protected against those infections. So it is important. But if you mix it, don't panic. We're still going to give you at 6 weeks. We're going to give you at 10 weeks. We're going to give you at 14 weeks. So I hope that's helpful. Yes. Okay. So thank you, Akoni, for asking that question, because that's another caveat that she puts in as well. Yes, I think that's all for Instagram. Yeah. Okay. Instagram, we're done. Okay. Yeah, your baby was born in Ireland and didn't get the vaccine at birth. So for those of you who are Nigerians who moved to Ireland or was born in Ireland, moved back to Nigeria, you are also another special category of people, because most of you are starting with a schedule of a different country and you are going to end up with a schedule of another country. But no need to panic, because each country decide what are their major um, uh, conditions that they should worry about. So in places where they don't have problem with tuberculosis, so they're not going to give your baby BCG. But even in those countries, like in the UK, for example, if you want it, you can ask for it. You can say, I'm from Nigeria. My baby is going to be traveling to Nigeria. I want the baby to get BCG vaccine, and they will give it to you. But they don't tend to give to their children because tuberculosis is not a problem for them. So you need to compare the two immunization. So it depends on where you are going to stay more. Are you going to stay in Nigeria or are you going to stay more in Ireland? So that will help you to decide which one you should follow. So if you are going to stay more in Nigeria, whatever was not given in Ireland, you can still take it. So you may not be able to get hepatitis B or oral polio again, but they can still give you BCG in Nigeria, even no matter whatever time you come in to Nigeria. So that should be sorted. But if you need more information, because that is a more technical question, because we need to look at what did they give. But there are some vaccines that are similar on both sides, like polio, like Penta, all those ones, they are similar irrespective of which part of the world you have. But there are differences in things like BCG, like hepatitis B. Some don't give it as birth, some give it as teenage years, So those ones may be different. So I hope that is helpful. Okay, I think there's another question. Okay, Faravan. Okay, I think I've just answered your question. If you place the baby on a stomach to sleep on your chest, is that dangerous too? So, usually when you are petting your baby to sleep, you're rocking your baby to sleep, you are the one carrying the baby. So I believe that you are monitoring your baby and you're looking at the baby. That is not likely to cause any harm. But I've explained to you why it's a problem for a baby on their own bed lying face down, because the issue is that their nose will be blocked and they can die from that. So but for you, when you carry your baby, it's very unlikely that will happen. So that's actually just for a few minutes anyway. And generally as a parent, avoid putting your baby to sleep on your hands. They're going to get used to it and become a problem. Let baby learn to fall asleep on their home bed. So those are some sleep tips for you. Okay, Amalara is asking, my baby of 8 months like to eat blend potato a lot. Hope she will not lose weight. There's no food that makes anybody to lose weight. Just forget all those jargons you hear from. The most important thing is that your baby is eating not only potato. So your baby likes to eat potato, you need to add protein, you need to add fruits, you need to add vegetables, you need to add other things. So there's nothing like, oh, my baby is eating only this food, then maybe will lose weight. No, your baby needs to eat more than potatoes. That's just the most important thing. Your baby needs to eat variety. So your baby can eat potato as much as they like, but they should not only eat potato, they should eat vegetables. So if I were you, you can make potato your carbohydrate base, but you add other things. So maybe it's the chicken you want to add, maybe it's fish you want to add, maybe it's vegetable like peas or carrot. There's a way you can do all this thing, and it is blended, so you can do it together. We are not nutritionists, but there are lots of websites where you can get ideas of how to make food for your baby. Very lovely, and they will like. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, Fred, I've been saying thank you. You're welcome. Faith is saying, my baby of 2 months is having cough and catarrh. What do I do? What do you do? Most cough and catarrh in babies are actually due to viruses. You don't need to do anything. You just need to make sure you keep the baby away from those who are having the cough and catarrh, because somebody gave it to the baby. Baby don't just have cough and catarrh unless somebody who has cough and catarrh blow the germs on them. So usually maybe the siblings from school or yourself or other adults will come to visit the baby and carrying the baby. I always say keep your baby away from visitors, wash your hands frequently, exclusively breastfeed your baby. Keep your baby warm, your baby fine. But if your baby is having fever with the cough and catarrh, your baby is having fast or difficulty with breathing, then you need to take the baby to the hospital to see your pediatrician. Okay, so Instagram, all done. Let me go back to Facebook, and then I can come back to you. Don't go away, but I'm just going to go back to Facebook. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Favor, you're saying apart from improper lashing, what else causes sore nipples? Nothing else. That is the only thing that causes it. There's nothing else. The only way you are going to have a sore nipple is because your baby is sucking on the nipple. And babies should not be sucking on the nipple. Baby should be have the all of the nipple and the areola in their mouth. I think the last breastfeeding week we did, one of our lactation experts who was on the video, she came with the with the model breast, and she showed you how to actually position. So if you have not watched that video, maybe just post that question on our group. One of our moderators will share the link to that video for you, because you really need to get attachment of the baby to the breast. 99% of problem with breastfeeding is poor attachment. Okay, let me say 90% of problem with breastfeeding is poor attachment. If you get your attachment right, you get the positioning right, there will be no problem. So as a first time mom, you need to make sure that you attach your baby to the breast properly. If your nipple is already sore, your nipple needs to heal. So sometimes you may have to, especially if you already have wounds on it, you need to let it heal. You may need to have to express and give your baby breast milk via express breast milk while your nipple heals. But the most important thing is make sure, most babies want to suck and they just grab the nipple first. It is wrong. Make sure your baby's mouth is open. There's a way to do that. Make sure their mouth is open wide, and you put most of the whole breast in their mouth. You should barely see that black part of the breast called the areola. You should barely see it. So that means your baby's mouth is, but that is where the breast milk is stored, under the areola, not on the nipple. So what happened with nipple baby sucking on the nipple is because the more they suck on the nipple, the more frustrated the baby gets, and the more they bite on your nipple, and the sore, the more you also have breast sores. So there's no other reason for breast sores, but you need to let it heal before you start again. If you let them keep sucking when it is sore and you're also not doing properly, it's going to hurt you a bit. But get it treated, let it get healed, especially if there are wounds on it. You may need to express for a while, and then you'll now go back. And I'm happy you say you're correcting your techniques. The most important, before you start breastfeeding, please watch those breastfeeding videos. They are so important. If you get it right, you will just enjoy breastfeeding. It's so lovely. So, but we have lots of videos, including the ones by Global Health videos, and we also have our own ATP breastfeeding week videos where we address the issue of breastfeeding. So Favor will recommend that for you. All right. Ifem is asking, Good evening. Is it possible that the medication I'm taking is affecting my baby's poo? It's possible. I'm making it greenish. I don't know. You need to tell me the medication you're taking first, then I'll be able to answer that question. Because baby can also have greenish too for other reasons, not necessarily because you are taking medication. Uh, Andalene is asking, what is the cause of a baby passing out dry feces? What do you mean by dry feces? You mean hard feces? Okay, 3 to 4 times in a day. That is, yes, small poo that is strong. So the baby is constipated. So baby is 2 years old. This baby needs to drink lots of water. Baby needs to take fruits and vegetables. So what the baby has is just constipation. So there are different kind of stools, and okay, I don't have. I was going to show us a picture, but let me see whether I have it here. So there are 6 kind of what we call a stool charts. So how a stool should look like. So you can have it's looking like rabbits, which is what I think yours is saying, like um that kind of, it comes like small, round stuff, you know, that's like pellets. So that is one, and it's really not good. Or it can come like a comb, like that of a corn, like a comb of a corn. You can see some patches on it as well. But what we really want is what we call the stage 4, which is like a sausage. It should be soft and long like that. That is the normal stool. Of course, you can now go down where it is now becoming more watery and all that. So we don't want all those pellets kind of stool. We don't want the one like on like a comb of a corn and all that. We want it like a soft sausage, and that is the normal stool. So if your child is having this kind of stool you are describing, the baby is constipated. What you need to just do is to make sure the baby takes lots of water, eats lots of fruits and veggies, and the stool will be fine. At least I'm happy baby is still passing stool every day, which is good, because the next step is that baby may not pass stool, and that's become more difficult, and it can make them to have pain, and then they don't want to pass through, and it become a vicious circle. Sometimes we have to go and remove the stool from the baby manually, or we have to give them drugs. So we don't want to get to that stage. So before you get to that stage, make sure they drink lots of water. Usually we say about 6 to 8 glasses of water in a day, and then veggies, fruits. Let's not give them all these junk juice and all that. Let them drink normal water or milk. Avoid too much of the orange, all those juices and artificial drinks as much as possible. But water will be best for the babies. Okay. Facebook user is saying, well, for the past 1 week, my baby's poo is like clusters. Okay, this sounds like a question I just answered now, I guess. So it's the same scenario. If your baby is constipated, all you need to do is to make sure they drink lots of water. They eat not only pap and milk or cereals and milk. They should eat fruits. They should eat veggies. That's what you should give them, and that will take care of the constipation. But if despite doing that, your baby is still constipated, then you need to see a pediatrician, because there are other causes of constipation as well. Okay, I think I'm talking too fast. Let me slow down. Okay, Pressure is saying, thank you, doctor. Okay, can paracetamol be given before the 6 weeks immunization as a preventative measure for eye temperature and pain? Okay, this is a very good question. I like your questions, Precious. No, don't give paracetamol before the immunization. You give it after the immunization. And please disregard there are lots of junks on Facebook. I've seen people wrote that babies taking paracetamol after immunization means the immunization will not be effective, or it means it will not be effective, or it will cause the children to, I mean these are junks. It shows people don't have understanding of science. So for everything we do, we are, as scientists, we have basis for it, so we know we have, like, it has to be logical. So that is how science is. It's not just people just deciding what to do. So your baby needs to have fever for you to give paracetamol, for the paracetamol to work. So if you give paracetamol before, there's nothing it's working on. So go for immunization. After the immunization, you can give paracetamol. And if your baby does not continue to have fever, you don't need to continue to give paracetamol forever. So the first 2 days, most babies will have fever, but actually with penta. But for some vaccines, babies don't even have fever, like BCG, like measles. Some of them don't have fever, so you don't need to give them paracetamol if they don't have the fever. But for penta, it's almost constant, that they will have some mild fever. So you can give them paracetamol, but not before, after, because it is after the immunization that all those what we call prostaglandins and all that will be released. And that is what is causing the fever. And that is when your drug is going to work. So giving the drug before is not going to make any difference. It's not going to work. So you need to give the paracetamol after the immunization. Okay, yes. So, and for it's also helpful for pain as well. And for since you're going for your 6 weeks immunization, let me also tell you that it's a deep intramuscular injection, which means that there will be some bleeding in that on the thigh muscles where the immunization are given. So just put ice pack. Ice pack is just get those your block of ice, those small cubes. You can tie it in any small handkerchief and just apply it gently for a few seconds on that side. Please don't rub. Please don't apply kerosene. Don't apply anything. Don't massage, and be very gentle with the leg because it's very painful. So just a little bit of ice pack on it. That's all you need to do for 2-3 days, and it will go down. If you don't do that, you will keep rubbing. You will cause more bleeding. You will introduce germs, infection, and the baby can develop either a cellulitis or abscess, and then we now need to treat with antibiotics, and we now need to remove the pulse. And I see that all the time on ATP Facebook group, and I know that's because people have not managed it very well. Ideally, we should be having this conversation by those people giving us the immunization. Ideally, you should have a leaflet, vaccine information leaflet, given to you for every vaccine your child takes. I know that some of us don't get that, but they are available online for every vaccine you need to take. You need to go and read the vaccine information leaflet. The information leaflet tells you what that vaccine name is. It tells you what the vaccine is meant to do. It tells you the side effects of the vaccines. It tells you what to do with the side effects. And it tells you when to go to the hospital. For example, if your child starts having seizures, convulsions after immunization, you need to go to the hospital. These are very, 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 very rare. Maybe 1 in a million of side effect of vaccine, but it can happen. Any child can be that one that is going to have that side effect. So you need to know what to do. So I see a lot of people ask questions, and always ask on ATP, do we have this X talk before we get immunization? And some people say yes, they do have it. Some people say no, they don't have it. So it's a mix. So I think it depends on which center you go to. But ideally, we should all have that conversation. And please know what vaccine your baby is going to be given. Please ask, what are you about to give? Reason is that I've seen people make errors. Your baby is there. I mean, we're all humans. Even ex-professionals are humans. Sometimes they may lose concentration and they may do the wrong thing. So people now, so my people was given this vaccine, the wrong one, this. It will be avoided if you just help the health professional by confirming, my baby is 6 weeks, what vaccine you are going to give. And you should also know what vaccine you are supposed to receive as well. So that if somebody tells you you're 6 weeks about to take measles, you say, no, my baby is 6 weeks, it's supposed to take Penta and this and that. Then that will also check the health professional so that we don't end up having these errors. So, but it still happens. So I just would like to give parents this tip so that that error will be reduced to the minimum. Okay. Is it possible my medication is because, okay, you've asked this question now. I just answered now. Tell me the medication and I will answer that. Good evening. Young Queen is saying, looking beautiful. Oh, thank you. I'm a breastfeeding mom of a month-old baby. Can I deworm yourself? Yes. If yes, what type of medication? Any deworming medication we do, you can use albendazole. It's fine. Most of them don't get absorbed into the blood. They work inside the intestine, so it doesn't really affect you. It doesn't affect your breast milk, so don't need to worry. Okay, Kingsley is asking, it was given to her, but on the phone. I have called him to give the dosage, but it's not picking, and my baby is not strong. Well, I'm sorry, you have to call your doctor because I don't know what your doctor is treating. So if your doctor tells you to give a medication, the doctor should tell you the dose, and they should tell you how long they want you to give it for and all that. So it's very, very important. So don't worry, just don't panic. Maybe you should just wait until your doctor is able to pick up the phone. I'm not very comfortable with you treating a child who is not strong on the phone. I'd rather you take your child to the hospital or at least so, but just to be on the safe side. Okay, Fever is saying my 4 weeks old has tongue child removed in the hospital. we're giving paracetamol, vitamin C, ampiclox. The soldier was given, but we're not told when to stop. That's not doses. Dosage means we are told how much to give for how long. That is the complete definition of dosage. So you really need to go back and ask them when to stop. And I don't think you should be given medication for very long. So you really need to ask. These are simple questions you must always ask at the hospitals. I know sometimes doctors, they must have written it in your card, but maybe the pharmacist need to tell you. And I guess most pharmacists always write it on the medicine, whatever the packet as well. They always tell you for 6 days, 7 days, 10 days. It should be written there. So maybe you didn't take note, but you can just ring them and ask that information. It's very, very important to do that. You notice I'm not going to be contributing to that because it is the responsibility of the prescribing doctor to know what they are treating and for how long they are going to treat it for. So I cannot volunteer that information because I'm not part of the management of your baby. So the people that started it are the only one that can answer how long. So you should be able to call them, or you should be able to go there and clarify that information. Okay, Oyedun, let's say good evening, ma'am. My daughter started wheezing symptoms at the age of 2. We've met a pediatrician, asked to run some tests and x-ray. She said she can't say she's 5, or do you mean fine? Okay, she can't say. Oh, I'm confused. Anyway, I guess you are trying to say that the pediatrician said she can't confirm whether the child is asthmatic or not, and the child is 5 years old. If that is right, just let me know. If not, let me know. So she just has to get the nebulizer in case of an emergency. At some point, the system for 8 months. Then last year, she started showing the symptoms. Currently, loss, she's asthmatic, hyperreactive airway. She'll be 5 in a few weeks. Okay, I get the gist. Okay, so a baby can be diagnosed with asthma even as early as 1 year. There is no confusion about it. I know that we pediatricians, we try to run away from labels and stuff like that because we don't want to alarm parents sometimes, but you can make diagnosis of asthma, especially if there's a strong family history of bronchial asthma. So that's the first question I need to ask. Is there anybody in the family with asthma? Maybe yourself or anybody in the family? That's number one. Number two, for you to make a diagnosis of asthma, the child must have had the symptoms twice. So if your child has had this recurrent wheezing and coughing for 2 times, and when you nebulize the child symptoms go away, the child has asthma. I mean, these pediatricians already told you to go and buy nebulizer, your child has symptoms, it's recurrent, and it's coming back again. I don't know what else we need, but asthma can be diagnosed as early as 1 year. It can be done. So what I would suggest for you is that you may want to go to asthma clinic. So if you want to go to asthma clinic, there are pediatricians that is all they do. I think the last time I brought Dr. Akim Balagbe, which is our respiratory pediatrician in Lutz, and so she runs the asthma clinic in Lutz. So if you're in Lagos, you can go to our clinic and they can do all those tests. There are ways to confirm asthma, and there's a way to know without any iota of doubt before age of 5 years, before the age of even 2 years. So I don't think the reason why it's important to know is that sometimes some children require treatment for the asthma. In other words, some children need to be treated so that they don't keep having symptoms. Some children have mild asthma, they don't have symptoms all the time. So they only need medication when they have attacks. But if a child is having frequent attacks, then that child needs to be on medication all the time. We have a video, Atp Live, also on bronchial asthma. So I encourage you to watch that because Dr. Akim Balagbe answer all these kind of questions. So if you go back to our IGTV or you go to our Atp Live videos, just look for the one with asthma with Dr. Akim Balagbe, you will understand that. But your question is it possible to know? Yes or no, it is possible to know. And if you really want to know for your child, I would recommend that you see a pediatrician who has the expertise in managing children with asthma. That'll be better. Okay, Princess is saying my baby of 14 months is not talking yet. Okay, but is mama, dada, water? Should I worry? No, I'm not worried. A 1-year-old should just have at least 1 to 3 words. So you said water, so that's not bad for a 1-year-old. Give it time. Usually by the age of 2, your baby should be combining 2 words together. If the child has not progressed, then please see a speech therapist. Another person is asking, is it okay to use lotion on a newborn and powder for rashes? Okay, so you can use lotion on your newborn babies. Just make sure it is not something the child is allergic to. So if you use any cream or product and the child is having rashes, stop it. So preferably go for something hypoallergenic. So most of those baby products that smell so nice, all those chemicals make them smell nice. And some babies have sensitive skin and they start having rashes. So you can use things like oil, like olive oil, like Vaseline. These are things that don't have much chemicals in them, like your shea butter. So you may want to deviate the other, but if you use something and your baby doesn't react to it, it's well and good. You can continue it. Powder, no. Babies don't really need powders on their skin, because what you do with the powder is that you dry up their skin, and that actually is make their skin needs to be moisturized, not dried up. If your child has rashes, you need to see a doctor to know the cause of the rashes, and that will determine the treatment of the rashes. So let's not just be using powder or some particular products for every rash that showed up on the skin. No, there are different kind of rashes. There are rashes that will tell you don't do nothing, do nothing, leave it alone. There are rashes that we need to treat with antibiotics. There are rashes we need to treat with antifungal. There are rashes that are allergic conditions and we just need to use to stop whatever it's causing the allergy. Maybe it's the cream or the soap or the powder or the sponge or whatever you are using. That's all we need to stop. We don't even need to treat it. That's all, and that's the end of it. So we need to know. So that's why most of the people ask me questions about rashes. I need to see a picture. I need to have information about the rashes. I need to know, is it itchy, which part of the body, this, blah, blah, blah. So those are the things that will help me to know, okay, this is most likely allergic, this is most likely bacteria, this is most likely fungal. And that is what's going to determine the treatment. So it's very important that you don't do self-medication for rashes. It's better you ask your doctor to look at it and tell you what to do. But generally, avoid powder unless if for example your baby has itch rashes, so there are itch rashes powder, the cool one that you can use. So you really need to know. So these are some of the things. So, but you don't need to be using powder routinely on the skin of children. It's just going to dry them up and cause more problem. Okay, headaches. Okay, time is running up. So after now, please don't drop question anymore because we have to finish the one that's already on the list and it's almost 7. Thank you. You say I'm doing a great job. Thank you. Is it good for a girl of 3-year-old breast to bring out water like when it is pressed? This is important because my friend is scared. Number one, baby's breasts can be enlarged, usually at birth, because of their mother's effect of their mother's hormone. And some babies' hormone may not go down immediately. It may take a few months, sometimes it even take up to a year. But please don't press it, because when you press it, you cause it to become infected. And when it gets infected, it becomes it becomes another thing else. We have to treat it. That's number one. So this 3-year-old, there is no basis for you guys pressing the baby's breast. But I really need to know, is it something that has started from birth, or is it something that just started now? Because there are also some things that can make a baby's breast be enlarged. Some drugs can cause it, some medical conditions, some endocrine disorders, rather, they can also cause it as well. So we need to know. So since it is bringing out water, I don't know whether it's from you guys pressing it or maybe it's part of some other issues. I would recommend that this baby be seen first by a pediatrician, preferably an endocrinologist, to have a look. But if it's a enlarged breast has been present from birth, just leave it alone. It will resolve, and there's no need to be panicky about babies having breasts or girls having breasts. It's normal part of the development. I know it can be scary for some mother because maybe you don't expect that at that age, but there's nothing to panic about. But the most important is that please don't just press. Leave it alone, and if you worry, see a pediatrician. Okay, so I'm going to rush through all the remaining questions. Please, let's not drop any question again. I think the last question is by Barbara. And after that, I will know I'm done. Okay. Good evening. What can I do for a baby girl of 4 weeks on EBF struggling to fart and to pull, but pulling up to 4 or 5 times? So a baby who pulls up to 4 to 5 times is not struggling to pull. The baby is pulling normally. That is good. So I know what you are trying to say. Sometimes babies, when they want to pull or when they want to fart, they will squish their body. they will squeeze their face, they will be doing some sounds, and you guys think they are struggling. They are not struggling. It's just that babies are very sensitive to their body, so the movement of the gas or the pool is what is they are reacting to, but it's not causing them any pain, it's not causing them any harm. Just let them be. So your baby is passing stool already, there is no struggle. So what you are calling struggle is those sound, is those squeezing of the face, is those squeezing of the body. Is normal, and there's nothing to worry about. As they get older and they become more aware of their body, you've noticed that those groaning or squeezing and all those things will tend to stop. Okay, another user is asking, my baby is 1 year, is yet to take his immunization because his running temperature and nothing. Actually, there's no immunization at 1 year. Anyway, is it too late to take it? I intend to take him on Monday 18. The vaccines are MMR. Okay, MMR and varicella. Okay, yes, because those ones are not part of the NPI. That's why I was wondering. Yeah, you can take him after. You can take him after. It's fine. There's no problem. It's never too late. It is never too late to take a vaccine, apart from the rota I mentioned, and some of the ones we give as bad, like the Hepatitis B 0 and OPV 0. Every other vaccine, you can always take them whenever you are ready. Okay, thank you so much, Abisola. Thank you. Facebook user is saying, can IPV be taken instead of Rota? Okay, so this person, I'm sure you've asked this question before on ATP. IPV and Rota are not the same vaccine. They are not being used to replace each other. Please don't get it confused. Rota not being available and you getting IPV does not mean IPV has replaced Rota. Rota is rotavirus vaccine. It protects against rotavirus infection. IPV is injectable polio vaccine. It protects against polio disease. So there are two different vaccines. Both of them should be given. One is not being given to replace the other. So stop getting confused. They need to give you both. So they're giving you the one that is available, but it has not replaced the one that was not given. So there's no confusion because the names are different. There are two different vaccines, protect against two different diseases completely. So I don't know why you think they are serving the same function. They are not. They are not. Rota and polio are not the same disease. So there's no way they can serve the same function. Please don't get confused by whoever is giving you that misinformation. Okay, so how many doses of Rota is baby supposed to have? So Rota vaccine, we have different brands. So we have Rotarix, which is what the Nigerian government was given before, and it's 2 doses, 6 weeks, 10 weeks. Some people give it 10, 14, but 6 and 10. But there are also what we call Rotatech or other brands, which is actually 3 doses, 6, 10, 14. So what I normally tell mothers who ask me this question, just follow whatever they tell you in your hospital, because they are the one that knows the brand they are giving you. So they know the brand that they're giving you is 3 doses, take it. If the brand they're giving you is 2 doses, take it. So, but don't mix the doses. So don't start with Rotarix and end with Rotatech. Don't. If you are giving Rotarix, complete with Rotarix. If you are giving Rotatech, complete with Rotatech. If you have given Rotarix and you didn't finish and you switch to Rotatech, then you have just start Rotatech all over, so you don't get this confusion. So I hope that helps Young. Okay. Blessing saying, good evening. I dewormed her when she was 15 months. She's due for deworming after 6 months. What dose of appendix? So okay, your baby is still not up to 2 years. So for children below the age of 2 years, the dose is 200 milligram. Now, I don't always tell you what that's translates to because there are different brands and different formulation or strength. So you need to tell me, okay, I'm buying the liquid, how I'm buying this, so that then I will know how to tell you. Some people put 400 milligram in one tablet. Some people put 200 milligram in one tablet. Some people put 400 milligram in 20 mils. Some people put 400 milligram in 10 mils. So it helps us to know which strength you're talking about. But just work out. If that one is mass, I'm sure you can work it out. But your baby just needs 200 milligram. From age of 2, that is 24 months and above, then your baby can take 400 milligram. And it's the same dose for adults. If you are deworming from 2 years and above, it's 400 milligram of albendazole. And it's the same dose, whether a child or an adult. All right. Precious is asking, my baby's head at the rear is not smooth. When I gave that, the pressure is not an issue that it will resolve on its own because it was where the vacuum was placed. Okay. I still feel it's up to 9. Should I be worried? Then don't worry, because your pediatrician already told you not to worry. It's the effect of your a vacuum. All those things will resolve with time. You don't need to worry about it at all. So just relax. Don't worry. And then it's saying, why does my baby's poo smell? I think generally pools smell, whether baby or adult. So that one is subjective to your own perception. There's no reason to worry about poo smelling. It is okay for it to smell, and there's no need to worry. I worry if there's blood in your baby's stool, or if your baby's stool is watery, or if it's too hard. Those are the things that worry me as a pediatrician. Whether it smell or not, I don't really bother about that. Okay, so Barbara is saying, my baby was given paracetamol, vitamin C, and because when I give him every day. It was very okay. 7 weeks now, and I'm still giving. Oh my goodness, you are still giving your baby all this from birth to 7 weeks. Please stop immediately. There's even no need for you to have given any of this medication in the first place. None of them. And I repeat this all the time. Babies do not need medications. None at all. None. Zero. No medication is needed by newborns. None. All they need is breast milk only. They don't need water, they don't need paracetamol, they don't need Abidec, they don't need nothing. You understand? Some of you give Abidec drops if you want to. That's fine. I'm not even worried, but please, no ampiclos, no paracetamol, nothing else, no nospamin, no bamaro, no all these things. You are causing harm to this baby's organ. You can imagine giving paracetamol every day. What are you treating for 7 weeks? There is no drug that is safe. All drugs are poison. You must always remember that all drugs are poison. What makes a difference between whether the drug is going to be a poison or not is the dose you're giving. Paracetamol can damage baby's liver. It can cause liver failure. As common, as easy as it's for anybody to give paracetamol. If you give paracetamol when it's not needed continuously, you're damaging the baby's liver. Please stop. And when you get medication from people, always ask them, how many days? How many days? There's hardly any medication you need to give for more than 1 or 2 weeks. So please, let's know, apart from vitamin supplement that, okay, people just give anyhow, but really, you don't need to give vitamin supplement. Your child is eating well. If you are eating well, taking fruits and vegetables, your baby will get vitamins from your breast milk. So please always ask for how long you should give medication. When people give you medication, don't buy more until you've asked them whether you should. And your baby should have been to hospital at 6 weeks. So you should have asked that question before continuing to give it. I blame not you, but I blame your hospital and I blame your doctor, because number one, they shouldn't have given you those medication to start with. And it is very wrong. But you should also have asked, when should I stop this medication? So please just stop it, and please don't even give your baby any of those medication for now. The only time you're allowed to give paracetamol again is your baby has had fever, maybe after immunization on all that. So please don't continue medication. All right. I worry about that. 7 weeks of medication. Charity is saying, my baby reacted to Paediatrician syrup. He has rashes all over his body. What do I do? Stop the medication. So this is a general question, a general answer to any reaction to medication. If you give any medication, your child reacts to it, stop it and go to your doctor and tell your doctor, my baby reacts to this medication. Number one, the doctors need to write it on the baby's file so that none of the other doctors your baby is going to see are going to give that same medication. Sometimes you people don't remember to tell us. If you don't tell us, we will not know. And then you see another doctor B, then that doctor is also going to write the same medication, and your baby will react, and you may react even worse, and that will be dangerous. So please, whenever a child reacts to any drug, you must go to the hospital. They must write it. They must document it. You should also have that information. And whenever you see a doctor, always tell them, my baby has reacted to this medication before, so that they will not give that medication again. But you still need to see your doctor, because your doctor may need to give another medication, different, but that will still do the work that the other medication was prescribed. For example, if I give you ampiclos and your baby reacts to ampiclos, you need to come and tell me. I will document it that you should not give your baby ampiclos again, but I may decide to give you erythromycin, which is also another antibiotics that can do the work of ampiclos. So that is how things are done. So please stop, then see your doctor. Doctor, please, in physiotherapy, what does hypothermia mean? Hypothermia is not physiotherapy. It just means low body temperature. That's all. It's just a medical jargon for low body temperature. So you use a digital thermometer to check temperature. If it's less than 36.5 or less than 36, we'll say the baby has hypothermia. That means your baby is cold in English, in simple layman. It means baby is feeling cold. And all you need to do is just wear clothes for the baby, wear socks, wear mittens, put on cap, breastfeed your baby. Depends on age of baby. If it's an older child, give a warm drink or something, and your baby's temperature will come up better. So that's what it means. What vaccine is expected for 14 weeks old babies? So every baby should have an immunization card. You don't need to memorize the vaccine. You are not doctors. You are not health people, so you don't need to cram it. But you should have a card, and you should go read that card. There's 14 weeks, and the vaccine is written across it, so you should know. So I can tell you, it is Penta 3. If your baby is taking Rota and is not taking the 2 doses or the 3 doses, may still need to take Rota, the pneumococcal vaccine, the 3rd dose, and that's all your baby needs to take. And of course, oral polio as well. But we're now switching from oral polio to injectable polio. So sometimes we're giving injectable polio now at 14 weeks. So those are the vaccines your baby should be taking, and it should be on your card, and you should have it written there. So please keep your immunization card very well. It's very important, and don't lose it. Okay. Faith is saying my daughter of 11 months is having fever and losing appetite 3 days. Sounds like a paracetamol, Nopta. What shall be done? So if your baby is having fever for 3 days, you should go to the hospital. That is too much. That is more than, usually we say fever for 1 day, give paracetamol. After 1 or 2 days, even all those advice will tell you, if it's not better after 2 days, go to the hospital. You should go to the hospital. So you need to go to the hospital. We need to know the cause of this fever so that we can treat it. Because paracetamol is only treating the fever. It's not treating the underlying cause of the fever. And I'm not going to say this is the cause of the fever without seeing the child, without examining the child. It is not all fever that is malaria, because I know that most Nigerians who are watching this program now, reading this, say, oh, that is malaria. Not necessarily. So to confirm malaria, we need to do a malaria test. It may be infection, maybe anything else. So we need to examine the child. We need to do the blood test, and then we will know what is the cause. Okay, here, final question on Facebook. Oh no, final question on Facebook is the one by Barbara that comes at 6:57. Okay, well, there's another one by 6:59. Okay, Barbara is saying my baby is passing stool and gas. It seems very painful. His stomach always make noise. 6 weeks old and exclusive breastfeeding. It just passed 2 horns today and it's both liquid and grainy. Barbara, everything you've described is perfectly normal. That is normal for that age. There's no reason to worry. Just keep breastfeeding exclusively. I have no concern whatsoever about it. It is not painful. I know your baby seems to be scratching their face and appears to be in pain, but trust me, they are not in pain. They are fine. And with time, all those things will stop. It's just normal. Okay, 7 weeks old baby is watery, is sinking to his upper, it doesn't pull frequently in a day, maybe once or twice. Is this something to worry about? I'm not worried about the frequency. Baby can pull 8 times a day, 12 times a day, as long as it's normal consistency, that is fine. And they may not pull for days, they may not pull for 2 weeks, especially if they're on exclusive breastfeeding, and that's also perfectly normal. But I'm worried about your baby's poo being completely watery. When you say completely watery, means you cannot see anything on the top of the diaper, it sinks in the diaper like a urine, then that worries me. Then the question I want to ask is that what are you feeding your baby? Your baby on exclusive breastfeeding, or is your baby on formula? So maybe taking water, are you giving medication? Because those are the things that will affect the stool of your baby. So you need to check all those things. So what I recommend is that you give your baby breast milk only, no water, no drugs. Some of these vitamins you give as well also affects your baby's stools and make it watery, because some of them have a lot of sugar in them as part of what they use to make them taste nice. So that's when if it is completely watery, like you said, then you need to see a pediatrician. It's not really diarrhea, because it's only said it's once or twice a day, because diarrhea means your baby must have watery stool 3 times or more in a day. So I'm suspecting there's something that is making your baby's stool to be watery. So check your practices. Are you giving water? Are you giving any drugs? Are you taking particular drug yourself that is going through your baby's breast milk and it's affecting the baby's stool? So those are the things. If you're not sure which one is it, you can see any of my colleagues and they'll be able to help you out with that. All right. Okay. Fever. Maybe suck too much. Your baby don't baby suck too much. Trust me. Uh, express your breast milk, and she finished her all blah blah blah. Okay, she's kind. So I always answer this question all the time, and I find it difficult for mothers to understand that crying is not always for hunger. Crying is not always for hunger. That is the baby's only way of communicating with you. And baby cries for everything. They cry when they are tired. They cry when they are wet. They cry when they are hot. They cry when they are happy. They cry for everything. So stop thinking everything is hunger. But I don't know why mothers always fixate that every cry in a baby is because baby is hungry. If your baby just finished 100 meals of breast milk, that baby is not hungry. That baby is not hungry. That baby has taken enough of milk, because I think your baby is 6 weeks or 7 weeks. I can't remember your age now. Okay, your baby is 4 weeks old. Exactly. If a 4 weeks old has taken 100 minutes of breast milk, trust me, that baby is not hungry. That baby is sucking for all the reasons. That baby is crying for all the reasons, but it's not food. But mothers always think it's hunger. But because you keep putting the baby to the breast as your way of solving the crying, then the baby will keep on sucking it, and it will keep on sucking. But what they are looking for is actually not food. They are looking for other form of interaction with you. Babies suck for different reasons. Babies suck when they want for pleasure, because sucking itself is pleasurable for babies. Babies suck to feel you. They want their mother's warmth. Babies suck when they are bored. They want you to be with them. They just want to feel you. They want to be sure you are not running away. They want to be reassured. So you need to understand this. Your baby needs to feed every 3 hours. So if I'm happy you express, so you know how much quantity, because some mothers always think, oh, that means I'm not producing enough milk. So at least you are sure that you're producing enough milk, because if you give 100 mils of milk to a 4 week old, that is more than enough. Because you didn't tell me the weight of your baby, but if you tell me the weight of your baby, I can work out the amount of milk your baby should take in 24 hours. Let's even say your baby is 4 kilos, for example. Your baby should not be, that means your baby should be taking about between 400 to 600 mils of milk. So if your baby take 100 mils every 3 to 4 hours, that is more than enough. So definitely it's not about food. And you need to understand that every sucking is not hunger. Every crying is not hunger. So you need to find a way of getting the baby support. And this also so you need to get help. You can get other people to carry the baby. Sometimes the baby just needs to be rocked and cuddled and all that. It doesn't mean you have to give them milk all the time. You give them food. Of course, they will suck if you give it to them, but that does not mean they are hungry. And sometimes you see them, their tummy is so full. Sometimes you even see them vomiting it back, because what they need is not more food. What they just need is your attention, is your comfort, is feeling you around them, and that's all. So you need to understand that dynamic, so you don't get worried, because this is one of the reasons why most mothers worry, and then they will switch on to formula feeding and think, oh, I'm not lactating enough, or my baby is not getting enough, or my baby is not satisfied. It is not. So I hope that helps you to understand. It's okay for your baby to cry. It's part of what they do at this age. It's part of what you are going to learn, how to differentiate hunger cry from wet cry, from nappy wet cry, from poo cry, from I'm bored cry, for I want to sleep cry. That is your job as a mom. But don't worry, with time you begin to figure it out. Babies have boils on the head giving augmentin. I don't understand, but the boil is on the head. I don't understand. Your baby is still having the boils, then go back to the doctor who gives the antibiotics, and then they can decide what to do. So, okay. Okay. My baby of 2 weeks, navel is protruded. You mean protruded that is big? Okay, if it's big, that means your baby has hernia, but it's nothing to worry. Most of it will resolve if it doesn't get complicated. But if you are worried if it's really, really big, you can see a pediatrician or a pediatric surgeon. We can operate it, but most of them, they won't operate them until they are 5 years old, because sometimes they reduce on their own. Okay, I think I've answered all the last question at 7 p.m. So if I didn't answer your question on Facebook, please post it on our Facebook group and somebody will help me out there. Okay, then I'll just answer the rest on Instagram. There are not so many, and then we will call it a day. Okay. Okay, where did I stop on Instagram? Okay, yes, I know where I stopped. So Judy is asking, good evening, doctor. Please, what can I use on my 10-month-old baby who is having itchy rashes on his leg? Okay, I think I've answered that. We can't treat rashes without seeing the rashes. I need to see the rashes, or you need to see a doctor who can see the rashes and then advice on the appropriate treatment. Then me is asking, can pacifier spoil baby's gum and teeth? Not really, but we don't like pacifier for other reasons. We don't like pacifier because, especially for younger babies, it can cause nipple confusion. It gets to throw on the floor. It can pick up chunks from it. So, pediatrician, most of us don't like pacifiers, so we don't want that. But I don't think the dentists are worried about it. But I don't think they are worried about it because most of the people that use pacifier are actually children who don't even have teeth anyway. Usually, they use it in the early phase as well. But usually, and then you should aim to stop pacifier anyway. If even your baby's on pacifier, as they get older, you should stop it because that's why some children get so attached to the pacifier. Even when they're in school, 3 years old, they're still with it's not appropriate at all. So we don't want them to be using dummies, pacifier at that age. We don't even want them to use it at all. For me personally, I know there are different schools of thought, but most of us don't like it. And if I thought you are using it, some people it helps them to keep the baby, like the mother that's saying baby sucking too much. So what some other people do is to give them pacifier if they know that they are not hungry, so and they want to suck on something. But we don't like that. But if you are even using it, please aim to stop it before your baby turns one, so they don't keep on using it because it can also affect them as well. When you start potty training, for you can start potty training from as early as 18 months. Once your baby is ready, you can start potty training. What are the signs your baby is ready? Your baby can pull out their pants, they can sit on a potty, they can walk to the potty, get the potty, sit on the potty, and they can give you sign when they need to use the potty. If you have all those signs, your baby is ready for potty training and you can start. We have a whole article on potty training on our website, www.askthepaediatricians.com. You can read it. Well, there are many videos of it online as well. Just go for it and you can do that. Okay, I guess. Okay, Bonica is saying, can those vitamin A, I think you mean does vitamin A have side effects when taken late? No, if you take vitamin A is just like any other vitamin, doesn't have side effects at that level. But the only problem you can have with vitamin is if you take too much of vitamin A, then you can have what we call hypervitaminosis A, which can give you some other side effect. But usually the dose of vitamin A given at the health center for vitamin, it's not going to cause that. And you need to just take it every 6 months and not too full. Don't take too many. Just take whatever they give you, and that's appropriate. All right. And okay, I think that's okay. So Ishola is saying my baby's feet gets cold and sweaty when I take off his socks. Is this normal? It depends on the temperature. So if the temperature it depends on the temperature. So for example, if the temperature is if your baby is hot, which is actually why you should take it off, because that's why your baby will sweat at their face, because they need to cool off. So I guess most of the time your baby don't need the socks. If you're living in Nigeria, we have very hot weather. You don't need to be putting all these socks, cap. Please, babies don't need all those things. Just let their feet be bare. That's all. If this weather is cold, maybe it's raining, it's wet, that's when you really need to wear the sock. But when it's hot, you don't need to wear socks for them, because when you take it off, baby needs to cool off, and that's why it is white. So that shows sign that baby needs to cool off a bit. My baby's food is watery, should be 14 weeks. So we've explained what to do. Make sure you are sorting out what is causing watery stool. Babies on EBF should not be having watery stool. So if you're giving water, you're giving drugs, or baby is otherwise ill, then they can have that. Then you need to just take care of whatever is causing it. Either you stop the water, stop. Some formula fed baby also have diarrhea, so which is what we don't like, formula or bottle fed baby, because sometimes you don't clean the bottles well and the bacteria just multiply in them. And some of you that use bottle, you take leftover milk, you will keep it, and then you use the next time, the bacteria have multiplied inside it. Those are the challenges. So no bottle, no formula, just breast milk, and you'll be fine. But if you have to do bottle and formula, I know some of you say I can't. You have to do it. Then you have to take a lot of precautions. So I always tell you only one bottle. If it milk is left over, you throw away that milk, and then you go sterilize that bottle straight away, or you use another bottle, and then maybe you wash all your bottles at the end of the day and sterilize all of them together. You need to take extra precautions. You need to boil your water. You need to take so many precautions to avoid germs. It's a lot of stress, but if you don't want to be stressed, just breastfeed and you will never go wrong. Okay. Okay, yeah, someone's saying. I think okay, you are giving more information about your baby. How do I know when it is clear from our system? How do you know when jaundice is clear from our system? Your baby doesn't have jaundice. The eyes will not be yellow. The skin will not be yellow. That is mean jaundice is clear from our system. So, but the best way is to go back to your doctors. They can take a blood and confirm that the baby's level of jaundice has dropped to normal levels. All right, Judy Log, how can I make you see the rashes? Okay, if you want to make me see the rashes, you have to post that on our Facebook group and they provide information. But just also know that on our Facebook group, we don't diagnose, we don't treat. So I'm not going to give you treatment. I mean, give you recommendations on what to do. But if you still need a prescription, you will have to do a consultation with a doctor together. But you can definitely post it on our Facebook group. But please don't post pictures of baby's private parts. Don't post pictures of genitals. It will not be accepted on our Facebook group. It's against our group rules and it's against Facebook policy on nudity and all that in children. So because some parents don't think it's a big deal, but please don't. And some of you send those pictures to me. Please don't send pictures of children genitals and all that. It is not acceptable. You can always come for a consultation, and then in that ambience that is allowed because the doctor patient consultation. But sending me videos or pictures of a child's private parts is taken as child pornography. I know that is not your intention, but that's what it is on social media. Please don't and avoid doing that. Semi said, is there any risk of not giving your children hepatitis A vaccine based in Nigeria? We don't recommend hepatitis A vaccine for children routinely. Hepatitis A vaccine is actually recommended for travelers who are going to places where there's a lot of outbreak of hepatitis A infection and all that, but we don't recommend it routinely for children. I know a lot of people are selling vaccines and they want to sell those vaccines. Of course, the vaccine doesn't do any harm, but you maybe don't really need it. The same thing with typhoid fever vaccine. You don't need it. You will do better taking more making more effort with your hygiene, making sure your children don't expose themselves, they are washing their hands and all that, in protecting your babies against hepatitis A, against typhoid, than taking the typhoid fever vaccine or taking the hepatitis A vaccine. If you go to WHO website, it is not recommended routinely for children, and that is why you will not see it on Nigerian list of immunization, and most other countries as well don't have those vaccines on their list. So yeah, we don't recommend it. 3-year-old is having pile. You need to see a doctor. And the word pile is a very loose word used by, we don't use it medically. So I prefer you tell me what your baby is having. Is something coming out of the bum like a rectal prolapse, or is baby having blood in the stool or whatever? Because different people use pile to mean different things. So I really don't, when people say pile, I don't know what they say until they actually describe it to me in words. Okay, Blessing is saying my baby of 5 weeks have some water lighting out of her ears, which has an unpleasant smell, I suppose. What could be because that could be ear infection, so you need to see a doctor. Actually, if the baby is also having pain when you touch the hair, but make sure that when you're bathing your baby, you don't pour water on the head because that's how water enter the ears, and it can make the hairs wet, and that will make it prone to infections. Good. I think I've answered the last question. When a baby has skin irritation, what can we use? Stop whatever is making the baby to have skin irritation. That is what you should do. Avoid whatever. Once you stop what is causing the skin irritation, the skin goes back to normal. Use a lot of natural moisturizing product or oil on the skin. So Vaseline without the perfume, the Blue Seal brand, or your olive oil. Those are the kind of product that your shea butter, things that don't have chemicals in them. They're the best, and they will keep your baby's skin moisturized. And avoid that. What are the signs of teething? Is poo-poo high fever part of the symptoms? No. So teething does not cause fever, does not cause rashes, does not cause diarrhea, does not cause any of those symptoms. Most babies don't have any symptom whatsoever for their teething. Disease just show up. But some babies can be a little bit fussy. Sometimes they may be biting a lot of more, or they may be scratching their gums, or they may be drooling saliva. Those are the common stuff that you will see. Okay, I think I've answered the question about vitamin A. And I think that is all the questions on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me. Somebody's asking about the strong stool. I've answered the question about constipation at the beginning. I'll just advise you to watch this video again because my time is up and I need to leave now. So thank you so much, everybody, for answering questions. So if you drop your question after 7, I'm sorry I didn't answer them because my time is up. But that is not to panic. So what you just need to do is to go to our Facebook group and post your questions there, and we will answer them. So please, if your question is below that of this person, Ijoma John, that means you post your question as after 7. Please go to Facebook group and repost your questions, and then we will answer them. And for those of you who are asking about private consultation, you can send us a WhatsApp message and we'll tell you everything that is involved in it. But please, it is not free service. The only thing that is free on ATP is what you put on our Facebook group. And for those on Instagram, unfortunately, we don't do that service on Instagram because Instagram is not properly formatted for the kind of thing we do. So we prefer, and I thank you so much for those of you who are always tagging us on people's asking questions on Instagram where hundreds of people have already given them answers. We don't like to comment on such posts. The reason is because medical advice, we believe, is not a democracy of opinion. It is about what is the right thing to do, and we take that very, very seriously. So you're not going to see us commenting where people are saying other things. So please, those people, we encourage such mothers to post their question on our own Facebook group. The reason why our Facebook group is different is because we call it Ask the Pediatricians, because we don't want people to be confused on social media. We want people to get the right information from the health professionals who are authorized when it comes to children health. Those are the pediatricians. So if you want the pediatrician's opinion, you have to come to the pediatrician's platform to ask your question. If you ask some people who are asking other mothers, we are not going to give you an opinion on that post because we don't want you to be deciding which one is the best one. So it's up to you to decide whose opinion you want. Do you want to get from other mothers or you want to get from the as professionals? So we leave that up to the parents. So for those who are tagging us, thank you for tagging us, but you will see that most of the time we don't respond on it. It's deliberate, and it's because we don't actually encourage such platform. We don't encourage people to ask health questions from people who are not qualified to advise on health issues because they can make things worse. And this ignorance is what is making the health our children in Nigeria, many of them, to die. And our own goal is to reduce these deaths that are due to these preventable causes that are rooted in ignorance. So we really, really, really want to make sure that is done right. And just to, before I go, finally, my last comment, it was World Cerebral Palsy Day a week ago, and I see a lot of posts on Instagram and on Facebook about people talking about snake babies, and they say those babies should go and be thrown into the river and blah blah. And I know most of you who are listening to me, you've seen some of those posts. Please, those people saying those things are murderers. They should be arrested and they should be prosecuted. Most of those children they were describing are children with cerebral palsy who have difficulties as a result of maybe the injury they suffered in their brain. So they have difficulties with walking and motor activities. So some of them, their legs may be twisted and all that. It is a medical condition. Those children have cerebral palsy. They need to live. They can be treated. They can be supported. They can be normal part of our society. So please, children should not be thrown into the river. Children should not be killed because they have disability. You need to take such children to see the right care professional. So if you are in those groups or on those platforms where people are spewing those nonsense and saying children should be prosecuted, should be thrown into the river or they should be killed and all that, please, I want you to help me tell them that those children are okay. There's nothing wrong with them. They only have a medical condition, which is cerebral palsy, which can be treated. So it is the worst disability is actually the ignorance. So those people who are saying such things are the ignorant people, and they are the ones that are actually more disabled than even those children with cerebral palsy. I decided that I'm going to talk about it today because I may not have another opportunity to say it. And I know most of you are on those platforms, and I really want you to help me pass that information. I really wish Nigeria is that country where things work, where we can tag the police on those posts and they can go harass those people for killing those innocent children. Please don't kill innocent children. If they have disabilities, please take them to the government hospital, the teaching hospitals, where doctors know what they are doing, and at least you have the professionals there and they can help you treat the children. It's a long journey, but we look forward to that day when people with disability will be accepted in our community as well. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I really say thank you, and I will see you all, God's grace. Hopefully Facebook does not disappoint us again next week. Bye everyone. Bye. So post your question that are remaining on our Facebook group. Thank you.